Welcome, aspirants, to Rungta IAS Academy. I am absolutely thrilled to have you join us for this highly focused GS3 explainer. Today, we're mapping out the structural transformation of India's startup ecosystem over the past decade, drawing straight from the latest research by the Center for Research on Startups at IIT Madras.
Absolutely, and a very warm welcome from my side as well. This topic is an absolute goldmine for your General Studies Paper 3, specifically under Indian economy and issues relating to growth, development, and employment. We're going to decode exactly how India transitioned into a global startup powerhouse, and more importantly, how you can extract this exact data to seriously enrich your mains answers. All right, let's dive right in.
Let's kick things off by just wrapping our heads around the sheer scale of this economic shift. By 2025, India boasts a staggering 250,000 startups.
Just think about that number from a macroeconomic perspective for a second. We aren't just talking about a handful of tech companies in a single city anymore. We're looking at a massive nationwide movement of entrepreneurship. This figure really provides the baseline for the entire structural shift we're analyzing today.
And this specific quote brilliantly illustrates where this momentum truly began. This entire trajectory traces right back to the 2015 Independence Day clarion call from Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Exactly. For your policy analysis, mark this as the exact moment that acted as the catalyst. It seeded a profound directional change in our economic policy environment, signaling to both the bureaucracy and the markets that innovation was now a top-tier national priority.
Now, before we look at any more data, we need absolute conceptual clarity. What exactly separates these modern entities from your traditional MSMEs? Guys, for your mains answer introductions, please do not use vague definitions. Stick to these 3 precise traits outlined by the DPIIT. An emphasis on innovation, the use of technology, and a clear market opportunity. If a question asks you to evaluate the Startup India scheme, stating these 3 parameters right up front. Now, the real underlying story here is formalization. Back in 2016, a mere 288 startups actually held DPIIT recognition. That was literally just 3% of functioning startups. Fast forward to 2025, and that coverage has absolutely skyrocketed to 77%. The crucial takeaway here isn't just that we have more businesses. It's that there's this massive, growing willingness among young founders to actually join the formal, regulated ecosystem. This is fantastic, concrete proof of economic formalization that you absolutely need to cite in your exams. Moving right along to Section 1, Democratizing Innovation Geographically. This stark contrast provides such powerful evidence for regional development. Back in 2016, your Tier 1 urban hubs completely dominated, right? They saw 65% of all formations, while Tier 3 towns were lagging way behind at just 15%. But just look at the shift by 2025. It is completely flipped. Tier 1 cities now account for mere 18% of new startups, while Tier 3 towns are driving a massive 71%. This is an undisputed structural shift, aspirants. Innovation is no longer locked up in major metropolitan hubs. It is rapidly decentralizing right down to the grassroots. That brings us to Section 2, the demographic dividend advantage. Connecting this directly to the demographic dividend section of your syllabus, note these high-yield statistics. The youth are clearly leading the charge, with 66% of male founders and 59% of female founders being under the age of 40. Absolutely. But here is a highly nuanced point to use in your sociology and social justice papers. Women currently embark on these entrepreneurial journeys a bit later in life. Only 21% of under 30 founders are women, compared to 33% in the 50-plus bracket. However, look at the growth trajectory. Their impressive 20% compound annual growth rate easily outpaces the male founders' 14%. It perfectly proves the ecosystem is getting increasingly inclusive over time. Let's shift gears to Section 3, Scaling the Funding Landscape. Because we all know without capital, innovation simply stalls, and the numbers here are truly unprecedented. In 2016, out of 10,000 total startups, only 2,000 were actually funded ventures. Today, in 2025, out of the 250,000 total startups, 75,000 are funded. So we've witnessed a 25-fold increase in total startups overall, but a massive 38-fold surge in funded ventures. This incredible surge in investor confidence is really the bedrock of the ecosystem's long-term sustainability. So what is the net result of all this aggressive policy push, the demographic participation, and this massive capital infusion? Well, this specific decade of disruption has successfully positioned India firmly within the top 4 startup nations in the entire world. When you're concluding a mains answer on India's economic resilience, this is your perfect closing statement. It proves a definite track record of scaling an entire industry from the ground up in just one single decade. As we wrap up this explainer, we want to leave you with a critical thinking exercise. As you prepare for your UPSC personality test, take a moment to ponder this analytical question based on the data we unpacked today.
Yes, we saw that startup formation has very clearly decentralized to Tier 3 towns, a whole 71% of it. But how equitable is the capital distribution? Is the funding for those 75,000 ventures actually reaching the grassroots? Or is the venture capital still heavily concentrated in those Tier 1 cities? Think about the structural bottlenecks that might still exist there. Keep analyzing, keep studying hard, and we will see you in the next explainer right here at Rungta IAS Academy. Best of luck, aspirants.